G'day there, Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS, and welcome back. Now I'm in my studio slash antique shed, whatever you want to call it. It's got plenty of rustic charm in here. It's fantastic. Looking around, I feel inspired to do something. So, going to do a quick study today on board. Just got a bit of a tone on it, no real reason. You can have it white, whatever your personal preference is. And I've set up a little shadow box over there. Just going to paint a simple subject. Today I'm going to work with very simple palette. Got a few colours here, a little bit of gum turps, and even some brushes. Why not? Now this is a really nice shed. It's got plenty of charm, fantastic old tools hanging around and whatever else. So it's great for inspiration when you want to paint subjects like this. Alright, well, I've already just put a little bit of dark in, not much. I didn't want to get too carried away because I want to paint it while you're watching. So, I just wanted to feel the composition a little bit, didn't want to overdo it. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll get some of those darks in. Now I think I'll lift the palette up because it might be a bit hard for you to see what I'm doing. So, got a bit of cobalt blue, burnt sienna, maybe a bit of alizarin, create a really dark tone. You can see that, yep, good. Now I'll start by getting those darks in, going for the biggest difference all the time, and the biggest difference at the moment is there is a lot of dark that we've got to tone down, so that's what I'll do. Just haven't got the paint too thick at the moment. I might thicken it up soon. I'm just, excuse me, just getting a coverage so it tonally changes quickly as I can into something similar to what we're looking at. So, there we go. Just put a bit of this in here and there. More of that thinner, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, cobalt blue. Now that's really dark, good stuff. Just work out where I want these cups and the height and whatever. Random marks give the feeling of atmosphere and light, make it more painterly. Now I've already got a little bit down here under the bench. I might work on that. Just under the bench I've got a little bit of a shadow there. Just thicken that paint up a bit. I don't want too much medium in it. That blue's very good for the blue with the browns. Is very good for knocking it back into those dark tones. Okay, now, biggest differences, there's shadows in here. Shadow here from the cup. Shadow there from that cup. And you're just painting tonal. So if you're painting tonal, there's quite a lot of subdued tones there. I'm just kind of getting those subdued tones in for now. Work out a bit of colour in a minute. I might actually work out some colour now. What have you got? Bit of yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Fairly subdued tone. I'm just working with natural light here in the shed, and so fairly low-key colours. And sienna, maybe a bit of red to get slightly green at the moment. Okay. A little bit of titanium white to lighten that tone. Very similar tone here. I'll just quickly get that in. random marks here and there. Soften it. What have we got here? A bit of sienna there to blend that background. Dual that tone off back there. It's a little bit more dark here, I'll soften it. So I'm just going for that basic feel of the general vibe of the tones and the shapes. Right. Just put that brush down for a minute. I might do a bit of palette knife work because I do enjoy doing that. Bit of red. Let me just see what tones we've got here. Alright. So always going for the biggest differences, so we want to quickly establish the colours and tones now. Not just the tones, get a bit more of the colour in. This orange. Right, so at the moment now, just get that in. That's Cat Orange Deep. Lovely bird sound outside. A little bit of white with that just to lighten it. Bit of a lighter tone there. Leave that for now. Okay, now that mix some white with those neutral blues and browns and reds. So I've got a kind of key down grey colour. Some of the background. Okay, I'll leave that for a minute and go to shadow on the inside of that cup. Yellow over and white. Get it down a bit. Bit of that grey, so I'm making kind of a toned down white. The inside of that cup, so it's not actually white anymore, it's some sort of grey, and that's kind of a slightly warm tone, slight yellow grey. That ellipse would be fun to get with this knife. Okay. A little bit of light coming in from the door behind you guys. Bit of a red tone here with some cad red and some alizarin crimson. And get that brush. Get a brush. Mix up yellow ochres, burnt siennas. Just state some of this draftsmanship. Just mixing up a dark tone here because I've lost a little bit. Just want to put a bit of a tone on the bottom of this orange. Oops, what we got there? Take a bit of that off. We just had a little bit too much paint came off onto the book. Okay, what have I got? Brush. Here we go again. Burnt sienna, yellow ochre and white mainly. Establishing ellipses can be funny things. They kind of build up momentum as they go. They start off with a bit of a curve and they kind of build the momentum as they go to the edges, and then they back off again towards the middle and then build momentum, but it's kind of a consistent build up and a consistent back off. That's what I've found. Hang on, we got that. I'll put them down there so they're not visually in the way. So I'm constantly refining and blending there. Get back to this dark and soften it with the brush a bit. One thing I am noticing, there's a little bit of a warm tone, reflected light from the brilliance of the red cup is coming back into the orange just ever so slightly, not that much. So I'll just put a bit of that red with some burnt sienna and yellow ochre, so there's a little bit of it but not overstated. Okay, now hang on, what have I got here? Put that down for a minute and put these down for a minute. Softening. Softening the edges a bit with the brush. The edge of the brush is just using the brush to just let a lot of the edges go, so you've got hard and soft, lost and found. Very clean brush. Not only getting the colour and tone for the light, the shapes too. Obviously if you've got a cup, the ellipses have got to be right. If you've got an orange, it's not so bad. An orange could be lumped this way or it could be lumped that way. Any sort of fruit's kind of easier in that way, but once you've got man-made objects, so anything that, particularly round things like that with the ellipses, you really got to get the draftsmanship spot on. Random marks. So I'm always working around the board, like I said, or the subject. So you're constantly working on everything at the same time. You're not trying to bring anything up any more than anything else. You can get into that a little bit later. You can bring up some of the things that you think are more visually important, that you want to drag the person's eye to. Now I'm purposely letting go of some of these edges here, because they're not the subject and we're in a mysterious light. It's good to let go of the edges, and that way it creates mystery and also drags the eye more into the focal points. It really pulls the painting out when you start putting those highlights in. Now the one from outside behind you guys, this light, it's getting bright. It's also got a bit of a blue look about it like that, so that's good. So I've got the knife on edge with these little things. It's all very subtle stuff I'm seeing, but from outside there's this subtle blue light bouncing around into the cup itself. Even though it's a red cup, it's got all these extra activities going on, which makes it interesting. There's some yellow ochre and white, building up a few accents right on the edge where the light is hitting. Don't want to get too carried away with that, but where the light's hitting the edge of the bench. Bring a bit of detail here and there, as much as you feel like you need. Always working on those ellipses, just got to get them right. Just giving it some varying marks in the background rather than having too many repetitive ones. Taking paint off, adding paint, blending paint. Well, I could keep mucking around all day and it's not really necessary. I've already got the big impression, so I'll just leave it at that. We'll come in and have a look around with the camera. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed that, the inside instead of the outside, but it's still from life, as I love to do, and yeah, it's great to be back in the old shed painting a few things like this, a bit of fun, something different. Alright, I'll get the camera off, no worries, thanks. Alright, well thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned something from this. Now if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and press the notification bell. Then you will be aware of any video as I upload it. Okay, here's a bit more work I've done in the studio, and until next time, we'll see you later.